This trip began in Portland. The new PDX terminal just opened a few months ago. I really love the patterns of the wood ceiling and how nature is incorporated into the space. There were some good views of mountains as I flew over Oregon. I landed in Los Angeles just as the sun was setting. It was a 16-hour overnight flight from LA to Hong Kong. There was a beautiful sunrise as I waited for the next flight. The airport itself wasn't very interesting, but I enjoyed the views of these huge buildings and the mountains. Taking off, I got an even better view of Hong Kong. The scale of the skyscrapers was incredible. My first sight of Cambodia was this patchwork of rainforest, plantations, rice field, and villages. There was one lone mountain in the distance, somewhere in Vietnam. I spotted this enormous square moat of an ancient city. The floodplains along the Mekong River looked like liquid gold. The river is so wide, there are still only 4 bridges in the whole country that cross it. Tonle Sap is the other major river in Cambodia. More rice fields emerge as the water recedes. I love the color of these villages of old wooden houses. After 34 hours of traveling, I landed in Phnom Penh's brand new airport. The architecture does a great job of incorporating traditional elements with a modern style. There's a giant gold Buddha in the middle of the main terminal. And the roof looks like it's flying. Welcome to Cambodia. On our first day in Phnom Penh, we visited the Bopana Center, which is like a small museum that focuses on films and recordings. There was a very interesting photo exhibit about items refugees carried with them. The center is in an old French colonial building. It felt very calm, even in the middle of a busy city. That evening, we walked along the Royal Palace. This building was designed by Cambodia's most famous architect, Van Moladan. On another day, Tith's nephew and his young daughter drove us to the National Museum. It houses a collection of many ancient artifacts. Some of these statues were almost 1,000 years old. There was a peaceful garden courtyard in the center of the museum with ponds on each corner. It was another peaceful oasis in the middle of the city. Factory is a new creative and co-working space in Phnom Penh. The huge complex used to be a garment factory. Now it's a trendy spot for young artists and entrepreneurs. They have free bikes you can use to get around. The walls are covered with amazing murals, and fun sculptures are dotted around different spaces. This one would be right at home in Portland. The architecture mixes the new with the old and creates spaces for little hidden gardens where cats wear tutus. Some people even found a good napping spot. We had an amazing lunch in their food court. Their prahok was delicious. The cafe also had really good iced coffee. It was definitely a fun and inspiring place for us to explore. While we stayed in the city, our typical day started with one of Tith's nephews bringing us breakfast. They fed us really well. We made few real plans for this trip. Each day we just tried to go with the flow. After breakfast, Tith's nephew would drive us to the city center. I love how all the vehicles politely weave around each other. The central market was a good spot to be dropped off. This area has a lot of French architecture. A lot of it has been replaced with new buildings, but some are being restored. This building shows one of the things I love about Phnom Penh: the layers of time and different cultures mixing together into a patchwork. There are contrasts all around the city. This is Wat Phnom, the birthplace of the city, another peaceful escape from the surrounding chaos. After exploring for a while, we would hail a ride to somewhere to eat. This restaurant had a cute balcony overlooking the traffic below. The food was delicious and only $15 total. After eating, we would wander around some more. It was fun to discover the different characters of the neighborhoods. In the evening, we would ride back to the house. Frequent traffic jams could be entertaining. Here, a whole family fits on one bike. And 3 bros look like they're enjoying themselves. Sometimes more food would be waiting for us at the house. The day would end on the balcony where Sophia, a young teacher who lives with the family, would be tutoring the kids in reading and writing. He helped us learn more about the alphabet too. It was good for us to be able to spend more time with family on this trip, and it gave us good insight into how everyday people live. In the middle of our trip, we headed to Siem Reap for 4 days. It's about a 6-hour bus ride from Phnom Penh. The scenery kept me entertained the whole way. In one small town, it was lunch break, so all the kids were riding their bikes home. When we arrived, our first stop that evening was a restaurant with an enormous lotus pond. In an outdoor hut, we shared a great dinner with friends from Portland who just happened to be there at the same time. Our $23 per night hotel room had a great view of sunrises and sunsets, and sometimes mosquito fog. After finding breakfast somewhere, we would take a ride to some place we wanted to check out. We especially enjoyed searching for places with local handcrafted items. On some days, relatives would show us around and take us somewhere good to eat. Then we would wander around a bit more and enjoy the peaceful vibes. At night, we would find dinner, or family would make dinner for us. Then it was back to our hotel and the geckos. Angkor Wat is the reason most people visit Siem Reap. We were excited to see it again for the second time. It was as breathtaking as I remembered. The scale was unbelievable, and down every corridor was something new. Every surface was covered in ornate carvings, like these apsara, who are like dancing angels or spirits. At one of the shrines, we got a fortune and a blessing from a monk. The closer we got to the middle of the temple, the more it felt like approaching a mountain. We found some nice spots in the shade to rest for a while. To get to the top level of the temple, you have to take some very steep stairs. At the very center, there are 4 different Buddhist altars facing 4 different directions. We came on a very quiet day. From up here, it feels like being on top of a mountain. If you climb up the stairs, you also have to climb back down. This gallery contains a 50-yard-long carving of the Hindu creation myth. In the center is Vishnu. This is the spot where we watched the sunrise on our last trip. The visitor center has been upgraded recently. It even has a Starbucks. After exploring Angkor Wat, some family picked us up and drove us around the area past some amazing sights. They took us to their favorite restaurant that served honey roasted pork. And we picked up these tasty palm sugar desserts too. Then we stopped at Nek Pon Temple. It's located on an island in the middle of an enormous reservoir. At the center of the island is a giant pool with the temple at the center. On our way back, we passed by more magical ruins. It's easy to see why Cambodia is called the Kingdom of Wonder. One of the unexpected highlights of our trip was visiting the newly opened SM Art Center. It's located on the outskirts of Siem Reap, on a dirt road. The first thing that grabbed our attention was a beautiful garden. Then we explored the museum and experienced the art created by the couple who are the owners. Their art was powerful and beautiful, and the museum, their converted former house, was curated like a world-class exhibition. We learned that the artist designed this entire place, which included the museum, their studio, classrooms, gardens, cafes, a gift shop, and their new house, which they built next door. We got to meet both of them, and they were generous with their time and showed us around and talked with us. This center was a major inspiration for the kind of place we want to create there someday. A place where we can be creative while also giving back to the community. One of our hopes for this trip was to be able to explore more gardens. Angkor Botanical Garden opened recently, but already feels like it's been around for a long time. It's very large, and we spent a few hours wandering around and getting inspired. I love this balcony with the roots of these vines swinging in the breeze. There was a library on site that had a good selection of plant books and a seed collection. We especially loved the tunnel of plants. Another place we visited was Chocolate Gardens. It turned out to be more of a venue than a garden, but it was still worth the visit. We loved this old wooden house. The design was so cozy and welcoming. Someday, we'd love to build a house inspired by this traditional style. Fern Cafe was another place we wanted to check out, but didn't know what to expect. It was located down a bumpy dirt road on the edge of town. When we walked in, we were greeted by the Mediterranean and Christmas. This place is owned and created by a young gay couple of Khmer influencers. They created this garden to be a place where people would want to come hang out, take pictures, and of course, buy drinks. They even had a little farm area with animals. We left Siem Reap inspired and dreaming of someday when we can turn some land like this into our own amazing garden. After returning to Phnom Penh, Tith's nephew took us on a day trip to Kampot Provence. Our first stop was Buddha Kiri, a monument on a hill covered in thousands of gold Buddha statues. We took the stairs up to a giant Buddha at the very top. It was a rainy weekday, so we were almost the only people there. After visiting the temple, we drove further to the property of one of Thith's nephews. He bought this land 2 years ago, and he's been planting fruit trees with hopes of being more self-sufficient in a few years. He dug a pond where you can already catch fish and crabs.
Lemongrass. How do you say it?
Sakray.
Sakray?
Yeah. Yes,
Sakray.
law.
I was trying to learn the names of some of the plants.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you say it? Donong?
This is cassava,
Donong.
the root used to make tapioca. This is one of the palms used to make sugar, and its leaves are used to make roofs for traditional houses. It was so peaceful in the rain. We could definitely get used to this country life. For another one of our daily adventures, we decided to explore the other side of the river. From Phnom Penh, there's a ferry that crosses the Mekong. It only costs 12 US cents to ride. And it provided great views of the city. This time of year, you can see the line where the Tonle Sap and Mekong rivers meet. On the other side, it's a completely different world, much quieter and slower paced. The village reminded me of Mexico. We hired a tuk-tuk driver to take us to Maya Handicrafted, a shop that sells items handmade by mothers living in the provinces. The shop is also the owner's home. She showed us around her garden and talked with us for a long time. Her story and what she accomplished was another huge inspiration for us. Later in the day, we took the ferry back to the city. As the skyline approached, it felt like traveling into the future. When the sun goes down, the city transforms. A few times we ended up having dinner around Basik Lane, a trendy area of restaurants and bars. One night we had drinks at a rooftop bar as the full moon was rising above the river. There we met with a wonderful Khmer artist we've been following for a while on social media. We talked for hours and it felt like we were old friends. On my last night in Phnom Penh, we went to Walk Street, a street festival that happens along the river every Saturday and Sunday night. Thousands of people gather to play games, eat, and relax. The traditional dances were popular with all ages. There was a real sense of joy everywhere we went. After 2 weeks in Cambodia, I had to return to the US. I had some more great views of the country from the air. This is the huge falls on the Mekong at the border with Laos. I saw Hong Kong again, but after being in Cambodia, it seemed a bit more dull and maybe a bit dystopian. And parts of the airport were real eyesores. The flight back to LA from Hong Kong was about 12 hours this time. I was greeted at LAX by the shock of $20 smoothies. But as I flew to Portland, LA said goodbye with some beautiful lights. The plane eventually sank down below the clouds, and I was back in PDX again.